And nobody's got a problem with that. This isn't going to make the nightly news. This isn't going to make the national news on the Counterfeit News Network or ABC, always broadcasting crap. NBC, nothing but crap. MSLSD, because they always be tripping. No, it's not going to make that. Because people really don't care about freedom. They don't care about your rights. They don't care about the fact that the people who were put in place to safeguard and protect our rights as Americans, not citizens. Don't ever call yourself a citizen, because you are not subject to the jurisdiction of any man. You are a human being. You're a man or woman on this earth, and no other human being has the right to extract you from your vehicle on America. I mean, we're not talking about North Korea here. We're not talking about communist socialist China. We're not talking about some other country on the other side of the planet. We are talking about in America. For some reason, when somebody's got a blue costume on, or army fatigue costumes, because we know they are the standing army here on American soil. There's over 900,000 law enforcement officers that, by the way, Fuhrer Trump wants to give broad spectrum qualified immunity to. We know that if you're wearing a costume, somehow, some way, the minds of Americans short circuit, and all of a sudden, yeah, I see what you're talking about, but this is legal. This is perfectly fine. If they want to do something about it, they got to fight it out in the courts. You mean in the injustice system that typically takes the side of the law enforcement official? If it's the law enforcement official's word against yours, what do you think that black robe tyrant is going to do? Do you think he's going to believe every word that you say, which is in direct opposition to what the law enforcement officer says? Or do you think he's going to believe the thin blue line punk, the thug that drug you out of the car, threw the torture cuffs on you, and arrested you and kidnapped you? Who do you think he's going to believe? So Martinsburg, West Virginia, all I can figure is, no, that wouldn't be it, because other police departments across the nation are also engaging in tyranny against Americans on American soil, while they put their left hand on a Bible and right hand toward heaven and said, I swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And then they become the very domestic enemy they swore to protect you and I from. How hypocritical is that? And it's no measure of good mental health to be considered well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. So I can only surmise that we live in the most profoundly sick society you possibly can, because people are actually bowing down to the thin blue line gang. They actually have the gall to say, hey, there's just a few bad apples. Well, let's take Martinsburg, West Virginia Police Department, for example. If it's just a problem of a few bad apples, then where are all the good apples calling out Officer Boris Squat and Engel and saying, hey, I am not going to, as long as those people are a part of this department and they're going to kidnap somebody for exercising their freedom of speech on an American roadway, I can't be a part of this organization. As long as Boris Squat and Officer Engels are a part of this organization, hey, here, accept my resignation, or get rid of them, because they're the criminal element that makes us all look bad. Why aren't they saying that, though? Because maybe it's more than a few bad apples problem. Maybe we got the whole bushel. Maybe it's the whole entire orchard. We've talked a lot about this on this channel right here, but you don't have to look any further than the largest police force on the planet. In America, yes, but on the planet, the NYPD. And all you have to go is back to the 1970s. Frank Serpico exposed and called out the NYPD for their widespread corruption and criminality. They conducted the Knapp Commission. They found out, hey, this is absolutely true. So it got better, right? No, 20 years later, in 1994, they had to have the Mullen Commission, which also said, oh my gosh, there's still, from top to bottom, at, quote, at every level, widespread corruption and criminality worse than the Knapp Commission days. How is that just a few bad apples when a mayoral sanction into the examination of a police department revealed there wasn't one good cop? They're all on the take. They're all bad. They're all corrupt. They're all engaged in widespread systemic criminality. So we got the Martinsburg, West Virginia Police Department, and the civil rights lawyer did a fantastic job on this. I'll put if I can find the Facebook page for the Martinsburg, West Virginia Police Department, I'll put the link in the description below. But what I was going to say was Martinsburg, West Virginia is pretty close to Washington's District of Criminals. So maybe all that criminality rubbed off in the Martinsburg, West Virginia Police Department, but that's not it. The problem is that psychopaths are drawn to the power vacuum that's left open and offered by the law enforcement community. So in answer to the question, do cops become psychopaths or do psychopaths become cops? I think it's obvious. The psychopaths are the ones who want the ring of power. They want to control. They want to exercise their authority and control over you. They want to be able to give you a command and you got to obey it. And if you don't, it's hands on, buddy. And it may be hands on and lights out. This is the state of America today.
Yeah, so guys, the second person over here across the street is moving out. I'm pretty sure, at least in part due to me, because she first her husband came out and gave me a dirty look. That's how I knew they were getting pissed, and because I was using my alarm to get in the vehicle, and it was making up boop, boop, every time I went in, and I think it was disturbing. And finally culminated in that guy standing on the corner, looking at me like putting his hands on his hips, like, and just pissed off, looking at my RV. And I was right there getting into my car, and I saw him, and he knew I saw him, But yeah, it's his wife. As usual, it's always the wife that's pissed because, and not to blame it on them. I'm sure if I was in her shoes, I'd feel the same way. It's like you don't want some homeless guy sleeping in front of your house. It's like it's a negative status symbol. You got a homeless guy sleeping right across the street. Even though I think my RV looks pretty cool, I'm like pretty chill. I mean, after I've been through what I've been through, I wouldn't mind it, if the guy was cool and didn't leave a mess or nothing like that. No, irresponsible crap or something like that happening. But it's the second one to move out, guys. Got our spy mini chopper here. Direct overhead. Thought-based buzz. Timed for when I was thinking about shape-shifting.
In the police station, when he was being held down and the sergeant came over, he said the sergeant shape-shifted in front of him, turned into a reptile.
Now I was thinking about that, some of those police misconduct videos that you see on the Here's the Deal channel, and with that guy, he makes good videos. He's got a bigger nutsack than me, I can tell you. But the reporting, I think, is worthwhile. Now, two parts to this, because on the one hand, I would say that there's, as much as the law may provide for the fact that you don't have to show your ID and certain other things, I think there is an element that, with a lot of his videos, that it seems like, to me, he's forgetting, which is that there is an absolute authority over the world, okay? And when you understand that God has put him in place, okay, and I'm talking about Lucifer, who is the God of this world. Now, I'm not saying you should pledge loyalty and obedience to Satan, but at the same time, the scripture also says that we shouldn't disrespect or fight against the powers that be, in so much that we're not going against the laws of that the people have put in place. But but the one thing I think that this Here's the Deal guy is kind of missing with this is that in any case, even if there wasn't an authority that we knew as the godly that God has put in place, and that we need to be somewhat obedient to the powers that be, right? Because that's what the scripture says, submit yourselves to the powers that be. But when you get, let's say you get approached by a policeman or a law enforcement officer that maybe he's having a little bit of a bad day, or maybe he takes an attitude with you that you think is inappropriate, or he's kind of acting a little bit on the rough side towards you, okay? Like, why don't you step out of your vehicle, please? You know, or something, you know, just something along those lines. The thing is that, look, I'm not talking about people who aren't godly. You know where they're going. You know what their fate is. They got nothing. Okay, they got zip. Okay, they're losers. It's the ultimate definition of a loser is the ungodly. Okay, because they may win in the short term, but we know they'll lose in the long term, right? So we know that if we're godly, we're going to win in the end, even if we're at a disadvantage now. And the scripture says that we are the most miserable of all men in some respects, because we've made ourselves a prey to the people of this world who will not be godly. But in any case, we can be patient. Okay, that's an important aspect. And so it makes sense to just be cooperative, even if, first of all, if you're not doing anything wrong, you know, then it's not a big deal. Like and it does piss me off, like when I'm sitting here, I'm over 50 years old, and these cops are telling me to empty out my pockets because I happen to look young when I have a hat on. When I don't have a hat on, you can see how bald and old I am. And then it might show me a little respect. When these guys found out that I think it was 53 or 52 last time they rousted me, I was by my RV. And they told me to empty out my pockets, and they're digging in my back pants, digging in my front pants, and asking me if I have anything sharp in my pocket. They don't do that for, you know, an elderly, more respectable looking guy, I guess. So it pissed me off. When they found out how old I was, they apologized right to my face. But even if they, and we know that these, you know, a lot of them, or even all of them, as Jimmy Dore is like complete anti-police, even though his own brother's a cop. He's like, they're all just a bunch of, you know, basically thugs, is his point of view. But see, that you have to, this conversation that we have, okay, that you and I have here, at least at my little humble channel, is the conversation of the godly. Hello. What's up, bud? Excuse me. Pardon me. What's up, bud? Thank you. Excuse me. Dogs like me. Excuse me. Sorry about that. The conversation that we're having is one where we're taking into account the fact that we are killed all the day long, and that we may be beheaded just for truly holding on to our faith in Jesus Christ. Because what we hear, and I think the rumor is true, and why you start getting all these beheadings, they're already happening, by the way. I hear there was 70 people beheaded, found under this one church in Africa, in the Congo. You guys probably heard about it on CBN. But it's happening before, it's happened in the distant past, it's happening now, and it's going to happen in the future. But one thing we hear about also is that when they really start, you know, refining things down to those who will take the mark, those who will be obedient to the system of evil, and those who won't, is that they're really going to start beheading Christians when they find out that you're still a Christian. They're going to be really, you know, really doing the beheadings, right? And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You know, we know we're living in the reality that when God has told us not a hair on our head will perish, that we can trust Him. Therefore, we don't have to, and I'm not against the Second Amendment, but we don't have to whip out a gun and defend ourselves. Now, some people may feel that that's the right thing to do, but if you listen to the tone of the conversation of Jesus Christ, you know that actually that's not the case. We know that what's expected of us is not only to turn the other cheek, but to accept being killed if need be. rather than to break the commandment that he has given us. And by us, I mean those who have taken hope in him, those that have put our trust in his promise. Though we haven't seen it, heard exactly what it is, or understood it with our minds, not one single one of us, but we just trust there's that better thing, everlasting life free of pain, sorrow, and death. We don't comprehend it, but it's there. We are going to live by what he has laid down as being the way. And the way isn't to be pulling out the pistol or whatever your firearm is, or whatever your defense is, and defending yourself against the police. Now, the other, if it's what I was going to get to, the next part of what I was going to talk to you about is it really an us or them situation, kind of an us against them sort of situation. I mean, a line between the civilians and the police. Now, as I mentioned, it's a mixed. In any case, it's a mixed bag, because like I said, I had relatives on the force, and I know that were police and firemen, and I mean, I knew them personally, and I knew that they weren't part of any sort of conspiracy or cabal or whatever. But I do think a lot of them are non-humans, and it's a natural for them to be in that job, because they are what? The Marvel Avengers, guys. That's what I think the Avengers are. I was just telling somebody that the Avengers are I think what Satan calls his demons that avenge any sin that we do. Another good one on the shape-shifting beasts. Very good one. Wolf children. And this is an excellent piece of entertainment, and it's won a lot of awards to somewhat prove it, but it's just truly good. And probably confuse the beasts, maybe because they think that I'm anti-beast, but I'm not going to be anti who God has said will be part of God's family. So sure, I wouldn't claim to not be a puny little bigoted little man. Proud of yourself, little man, the Reptoids tell me in Blade Runner. Yeah, why not? But this was very well done, and I think it was that she even says in the beginning, the narrator who was told by the daughter who's a wolf girl, and she says in the beginning that it's a true story, and I believe it. I've always believed it. Right away when I saw it, I believed it, and I actually bought that because of my interest in shapeshifting. And what I was going to tell you, this is really well done. The couple of scenes where she shapeshifts or partially shapeshifts to that guy who in the beginning that he's like chasing her around, and because he smells like a dog, and then he starts chasing her, and then she partially shapeshifts and hurts him because she freaks out and partially shapeshifts and scratches his ear, and where you see her hand growing, like becoming that thick claw, and then and like you see it changing like that. I think that's exactly what happens as we've been talking about, and then that other scene where she on purpose shapeshifts in front of him. In their partial form, because these at least the wolf ones can shapeshift into their it's like like an upright wolf, basically, like Wolfen, or the Howling, which is another great movie about that, and probably true as well, or containing a lot of truth. Probably somebody there has had a personal encounter. But that shape-shifting is really one of the most interesting things that reveals our reality, because it takes us out of the ordinary, this a situation that it's, you know, kind of like that ordinary veneer that we're brought up with, and it takes it into the extraordinary. It takes it into the point where what you've got is a paranormal type of situation that's not, because when you have shape-shifting, that's probably not something that the quote-unquote natural world would have. So there's something, you know, that goes beyond a naturally occurring situation. And then also the fact that, because probably what it is, I mean, it's you know, I mean, I couldn't even begin to guess the physics of it, but it's like, you know, just where we use our common sense. It's like a combination of a beast and a man that probably resulted, see, and I think one of the reasons why there's a lot of stigma around it is because, now that story was a great story, very moving and everything. I even cried. I cry every time I see that movie, but because I'm such a emotional person. But in reality, it's probably not as romantic as that. And by the way, I think that the also very, very well done, very well produced Twilight series is also based on this, but on vampires, which the shape-shifting wolf people also in that mix. And but I think my guess would be, at least what it seems to me, is that they are the descendants of fallen angels. They were angels that when they fell from, when they left their first estate, one of the prices that they had to pay is that they became beasts, just like I told you about the bird lady who came out when my Anna was flying above the world, and then this bird beast and this other general. I didn't get a physical description on him, unfortunately, but he was called the General. But the bird lady came out, and then, like I said, when Anna hugged her momentarily, because my Anna had a very powerful healing power with her, and just by hugging her, that bird beast lady reverted back to her beautiful human-looking angelic form, just for the moment that they were touching in their embrace. And because my Anna just reached out and hugged her, because she felt so, you know, she felt for her in that moment. And it was but she said that they came up from the underworld. And so we don't know what the whole story is, because God has created this situation a sphere of judgment. So a lot of the secrets of what's going on and how we end up in hell for our sin, or saved by the work of Jesus Christ on the cross, is kept from us being able to know it in any sort of factual way or understand really what's going on. Really, we're in the dark. All we're doing is shooting in the dark here, a lot, unless the Lord might reveal something more to us, like, for instance, the excellent witness by Howard Pittman and his book Placebo, and his whole witness of the second heaven, and how there's 2,000 demons for every human. And it's pretty interesting, that revelation. But even with all such revelations, 8-year-old girl describing the end times, it's got a huge amount of views. On one of the most popular movies I ever published early on. And it's even with all that, we still are just shooting in the dark. We don't know really what all you've got, what the reality is, to the point that we could speak with any authority, or shouldn't be humble like children, asking questions and just saying we don't know. I was talking with somebody recently, and actually just yesterday, and then that night, I think there was something about the energy connection. Because, by the way, when I was emailing with my Anna and this whole thing happened, I realized that you can have a psychic connection with people that you're emailing with or talking on the phone, even if they're way far away. You connect with them in some kind of spiritual way, and you can feel it. You can feel it right over the phone, or right like when you're like later on, you'll think about it, and there you might notice that you have a feeling about it. But anyway, what happened with this psychic connection I had with this person yesterday is that last night I had this wild. Usually, frankly, I'll be honest with you, frankly, my dreams are so boring. When I was younger, I used to have all kinds of very strong, scary dreams or wonderful dreams. But as I got older, for the last 25 years, how long it's been, I have to say it's really boring, except for a very occasional interesting dream. But I mean, just compared to my youth, when I was 20-something and younger, oh boy, I mean, I would have these night-long dreams and like, big nightmares and all that stuff. But so what was unusual is that I had like a really strong dream that I remembered. It's so boring, I usually forget all the details. But this dream that I had last night, I remember, what's interesting is I remember some numbers from it, especially when it comes to money. But so I had a dream that I don't remember what the details of it were, but I came to some kind of great accomplishment. Like, it was just suddenly I realized I had come to some sort of very significant achievement, and what I saw just as a vision in that was 3 golden frames, like pictures, and they had something to do with gold, but there were 3 golden frames side by side, just like 3 picture frames of like gold, and then there was something inside, but I don't remember what it was, or I couldn't make out what it was actually from what I remember. I can't remember being able to make it out, but in any case, it was some kind of significant achievement, to the point where all of a sudden I was approached by this female representative of a company that was very wealthy, and they offered me a check for $500 million, actually $498 million check. And then the rest of the dream was like just like arrangements and stuff, getting ready, thinking about what to do with the money and what all was going to happen. But it was just weird stuff. Like, I don't remember what all the details of it were, but I remember that much. And it was stronger and more memorable than most any of the dreams that I've had lately. So, but you know what? That could actually be demonic activity, because I think that's where a lot of our dreams come from. They're demons bringing us inspirations with the hope that we'll follow down the path of sin as a result, because that's all that they work on day and night, is how to drag the soul into hell. As the late great Derek Prince said, the 2 main goals of the demons are 1, to keep you from being a Christian, and 2, if you already are a Christian, to keep you from being an effective Christian. And I think that is actually the case. But also, there may be other things, It could be the Lord telling you something. It could be part of your subconscious. See, I think most of the time when I'm dreaming, it just kind of seems like my own subconscious just sort of, congealing various thoughts, or, my old desires kind of kicking up, who knows what it might be. But just basically me, my own thoughts in the REM state, cooking up various images and plots and things. See, this old oak here was probably here for, I would say, at least 50 to 100 years before I was ever born, and will be here probably 50 to 100 years at least after I'm dead and gone and dust in the ground. It's just interesting to think about how temporary we are. I think that's what the message is behind the movies, the Twilight series, for instance. And I think that guy, Patton, the male lead vampire, is actually one of these angels. These, and I think that they body swap because you see those old photos of them. Now, this doesn't mean that similar souls can't be reincarnated, but they almost look exactly alike, and it makes me think that they might be one of those people that Jesus was talking about when he said that there be some of you standing here that shall not taste of death till I come in my kingdom again when he returns. Also there's the angel imagery. You'll notice at least in the first movie, you can see it, where the male lead actor they're showing him at first in the classroom, and behind him there's the owl, and you'll see this a lot. And I think there's some of these movie makers who are doing it because it's like a trend, fashionable, but they're like trying to tell you that it's they're former angels, fallen angels. So that's why you see the wings behind him that indicate that he's an angel. By the way, I was speaking with Mr. Maxwell Chikumbutso from Zimbabwe, the inventor of the free energy, and he's got a car test that's coming up. They're opening up the website, and they got a car test coming up, so they're going to drive from some place, like a distance, to prove that it's perpetual energy. And then also I asked him if he has the units, a separate box that you can put next to your battery, like your solar charger, your battery to go with your RV or your emergency power, just a separate box that you can use to charge your thing. And he said yes, they have those coming out, and vehicles with the right and left hand steering. So it's exciting news coming up from Zimbabwe with Mr. Maxwell Chikumbutso and his microsonic energy device. If you're watching this, it's not too late. Say this prayer now. Father in heaven, please save my soul by the work of your Son Jesus on the cross, and show me your pure words in the authorized King James Bible.